Hey Internet, it's RJ. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning into this show today. Now, today is Sunday, so you know what that means. We're going around the net with all the news you can use in the week that was in credit and finance. So, on the docket for today, we have some new airport lounges to take a look at. We have IHG getting in on the property acquisition game as well. And of course, another round of American Express shutdowns that are, granted, probably your own doing, but hey, it's Amex, so we'll talk about it anyways. All that and more. So, of course, if it sounds interesting to you, go ahead, press the subscribe button, and let's get to work. Now, we will lead off with a travel story. We have a new credit card coming to the States from ANA. And if we take a look at this from the good doctor here, you're going to see what you're going to get will cost you $85 to start an annual fee, but I do love the name. It is ANA Card USA Plus, which is perfect because it tells you exactly what it is. It's a card for the USA. I don't hate the name. Now, what do you get for this $85? So 2x on ANA purchases and 1 back on everything else. There's going to be no foreign transaction fees, as you would guess. 25% boost on ANA miles when you fly with ANA, of course. 10% discount on in-flight purchases. 10% discount on ANA operated duty-free shop at the airport. And 5% discount on ANA Group. I don't really know what that is. Of course, they do have the full terms. It looks like 5,000 miles after your first purchase may be the initial intro offer there. It's hard to tell from what we have. Yeah, it's not great. It's not really too much. It just kind of like follows a trend we've seen of I'll say international airlines coming in. It's like, hey, we should make a card in the U.S. Those guys love swiping things, right? Didn't we see like Japan Airlines do this a while back? So we really don't need to belabor the point. I included because I know ANA is one of those airlines that a lot of you guys, your travel skilled folks, can end up using those points to get a lot of different flight upgrades and things like that. So there you go. Card, not good, but keep doing your ANA stuff if you want. Now, in addition to that, we're going to move on to properties. If you're flying somewhere, you got to stay somewhere, right? Last week we talked about Hyatt on the acquisition spree. Well, IHG does not want to be outdone by any means because they are now acquiring some folks as well. So if we take a look at this, we have a press release, but we're just going to pull the details out of it. Assume they all said nice things about each other. But IHG is acquiring Ruby it's Ruby SARL. I don't even know how I don't know how you say that. I'm being super honest here. But I said play it wrong last time, and most people let it go. So maybe we can let this go as well. But either way, they're acquiring Ruby for about $117 million. It's over in Europe, so the price is in euros. But if you convert it, that's what you get, about 116 million. So what you'd like to know about Ruby, other than how to butcher the last part of their name, they've got about 20 hotels under their belt, and they're also looking to open up about 10 more, which would give them about another 2,200 rooms, give or take, on top of the about 3,500 they have already. And those 10 incoming properties are looking to be stood up in 2027. So they're going to integrate Ruby into like IHG and get it under the umbrella. That'll start in 2025, which is now, and you're looking at it wrapping up around the end of March 2026. So just a little over a year, give or take, and right now, at least it looks like they'll just kind of be their own brand hanging out under there. So, of course, I don't know a ton about them. Again, the IHG faithful, we do have IHG faithful out there. From the comments I've seen, people who have stayed at some of these properties liked them. They thought they were, I wouldn't say ultra luxury, but like they were pretty good overall from what I've seen. So if you have stayed in there, some of you international travelers, perhaps you got there through ANA, definitely let us know what you think about that. I don't think too much of it other than, it's nice to see the major chains still trying to be competitive. Again, we talked about Hyatt last time. Now we've got IHG in the mix as well. So those guys are going to dominate the space and still kind of serve as a foil, I guess you could say, to the Hilton and Marriott dominated spot of the world. At least gives you 4 players who are still trying to expand their footprint. So overall, we like that. But what we don't like, back to the airlines, is Capital One's new transfer partner, or new again transfer partners. Not that we don't like the transfer partner, it's that we don't like the ratio. So Capital One, in case you don't know, has re-added JetBlue. And I say re-added because like I'm 99% sure JetBlue was a transfer partner, but it was like many years ago, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Well, JetBlue is back. You can now transfer your Capital One miles directly to JetBlue, which you would think would be great, except the problem is it's a 5-to-3 ratio, which, number one, is just a weird ratio to pick. Math should be easy. Most people aren't good at math, so don't worry. I stole the example from the points guy, and so that means about 2,000 Capital One miles would equal about 1,200 JetBlue miles, so that's not very good. I mean, you would historically like to see 1-to-1, and I feel like just not too long ago, maybe a year or so ago, we had praised Capital One for going back and fixing many of their transfer ratios to 1-to-1. Now I don't know who sets the ratio. I gotta imagine it's probably JetBlue and how they value their miles and their stuff. I can't imagine. That's how I think it would work. I'm not 100% sure. We just don't like to see that level of ripoff, especially since you don't. It's not like the easy. It's not like earning Chase Ultimate Reward points is pretty easy on a bunch of no annual fee cards. Earning Capital One miles isn't like the easiest thing to do. They don't have that many cards that you can actually use. You're probably talking a Venture X and a Saver, and then there you go, right? So it's harder to earn the miles, which means you need to be able to get more for the miles. You can't just take, what is that, an 800-mile haircut? Yeah, you just can't take an 800-mile haircut every single time. Or, there's a slight chance it could be Capital One, as they maybe want to force you through the travel portal as well, which could be a better deal. It's likely a better deal. So there you go. You got an option. It's not very good, but technically it is an option. You also, if you're in the Capital One portal using Capital One, you may be interested in the lounge network. You may have heard about it. It's still expanding. They have a new lounge that is now open. So taking a look at this, if you're going to Vegas, well, great, we have a Capital One lounge. Now, the points guy, he gets invited out, so we'll steal some pictures that you probably likely got on screen from, their trip there. So thank you to the points guy. Again, the hours here, you're looking at 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. 7 p.m. seems early to close. I believe that's just the option they had today. I guess it could change, but that's not great. This is located in Concourse D Atrium on the second level near gate D50. So again, overall, I do like Capital One lounges. I feel like they nailed the aesthetic of, it's nice, but not trying too hard. Like I think Centurion tries too hard. It's nice. It's a little more relaxed and laid back, I would say. I do like their grab and go. I think they nailed the food setup as well on how they work. Again, it's not over the top. Again, it's been a few years since I've been to the one in Dallas, but I did like it. So overall, everything looks good when it's new, but I like, out of all the lounge approaches, I do like the way the Capital One's going. It does kind of fit the Venture X aesthetic. Like, hey, it's expensive, but not overly expensive. It's $400, not $700. So it kind of all lines up. So I do like what they're doing here, at least from the pictures and everything. And it's good to see the network expanding, because there was a long period of time where we just talked about lounges in development, but now we have them. And not to be forgotten is the old guard, Chase. They have another Sapphire Lounge as well, so we flip over to this time in Philadelphia. Brotherly love and Super Bowl champions all around. They need a lounge too, right? So we have, again, new lounge. This one is Terminal D and E connector, 5 a.m. to 10 p.m., which seems like a little bit more reasonable on the hour, so maybe Capital One could learn something. You probably got some pictures on screen. Again, everyone else gets invited to these places, but I don't know that I'd really want to go anyways. Maybe for the content. Anyways, the standard stuff, local food and beverages, fresh and seasonal menus, including dishes from the middle child clubhouse, fresh local roasts, curated wine lists, spaces, areas for working, relaxing, wellness, a beer garden. I don't know what a beer garden is, but they've got one. They've got some art, a game room. That could be interesting. I don't know what kind of games they have, but that could be interesting. I don't know if we've seen a game room before. Private accessible bathrooms, of course, showers, and family and kids rooms as well. So there you go. Overall, not too bad. Good to see these lounges coming out. As the lounge wars and the cards rage on, and they keep getting expensive. I think it's just easier for people to pick one. And I do, last thing I'll say on this is, with American Express Platinum card presumed to be getting expensive and cutting down on your Delta Sky Club access, it does make these Venture X and these Sapphire cards a little bit more interesting. I still Venture X over Sapphire Reserve. Sapphire Reserve's been a disaster for 3 or 4 years now, it seems, but if they have one of these in your home airport, it could be that much easier to say goodbye to the Platinum card, I think, and that's going to be interesting to see how Amex addresses that. Well, we know how they're addressing some folks anyways, and those folks won't likely be around to see that next version of the Platinum card, because there's another round of American Express shutdowns going on. Now, admittedly, this is from Miles Earn and Burn. They found this. They did the homework writing this up. I don't think this is nearly as dramatic as it seems, but they did get some good data points. So let's take a look at this, and credit to them, I should say. So they posted this on February 18th, so a few days ago by the time you're watching this. But they said shutdowns happen between 1 and 5 p.m. Eastern. Shutdowns didn't occur simultaneously, they were spread out throughout the day. The Apple Pay early warning system didn't work, and that means normally, like, the way you find out your credit card is shut down is like Apple Pay says, hey, your credit card no longer works with us, do something, right? But for whatever reason, it bypassed that or didn't trigger it. Now, shutdown emails use their reason. Accounts ellipses not being used for the intended purpose. Applying for a new card after shutdown was instantly denied. Who would even try that? With, of course, they're previously engaged in abuse or misuse. So, use cases, they go on to say PayPal games didn't cause it, employee cards didn't, referrals didn't cause it, back button didn't cause it, lots of sign-up bonuses didn't cause it, fitness club history, I don't even know what that one is, didn't cause it. The Floozies were a common denominator and probably came back to bite. Now, Floozies, no, he's not talking about your sister. Floozies is like their it's like, I think what they mean is fluz or flues, however you say that. But it's essentially, if you haven't heard, it's like kind of one of those like cashback apps where you can go through and you can buy gift cards at higher rates. Sometimes they have spend bonuses on certain things, certain categories. If you remember, I think the Built Rewards guy had mentioned it on Twitter one time. It's like, man, you guys all managed to spend, the $512 or whatever it is on dining whenever Fluz has its dining category, right? I'm paraphrasing. I know people who swear by this thing, use it all the time. Clearly, I don't, but really, it's like, hey, I'm loading in my Amex card, and I can either buy the stuff through Fluz on my Amex card or load in the dollars from Amex. One of those things, it would be still easy for them to pick up and see, and so it's presumed that that's what did it. And, I don't know, overall, like, yeah, are we really surprised? Now, the article does go on to say, I think those folks did have a day to get their points and get out of town, which is somewhat generous of American Express, is normally they just take your points and kick you out. So giving you a day, I mean, assuming you saw the email, but that's kind of on you. So, the only real thing to expand on this a little bit more is I do wish American Express would just come out and say, here's what's allowed, here's what's not allowed. I understand why they don't, because then you're still kind of condoning people to probably push to the limit other stuff that you're still sort of allowing. But on one hand, it would just make things a lot easier. On the other, if you're doing this, then you likely know you're pushing it right up to the limit. And I still think going to the limit is fine. What is the old cliche? In order to know how far you can go, you must risk going too far. Just so long as you don't, really value. If you're fine losing your Amex cards, then I think it's fine. For me, I don't think the Amex cards are really worth all that. So whatever. But again, if you value them a ton, then you probably don't want to do things like this. I do think there's a world in which American Express gets away from membership reward points altogether, and like the cards are just straight membership coupon status based than anything else, because they really don't seem like obviously it works, and playing hardball works to keep from forcing your rules, which they have a right to do, but out of all the issuers, they're the ones who care the most. And I almost feel like there's a spot in American Express future where they're like, you know what, MR points and bonuses are beneath us. It is a privilege to have our card because you get X, Y, and Z status, and that would be a way to get away from all these games as a whole that people play. The only real problem with that is it'd be too much easier of a counter for other banks to yeah, but you swipe our card and you earn points, right? That'd be the only thing. But then does Amex's key clientele really care about membership reward points? I don't know. You could just fall back on having the Delta and the Hilton cards. I don't think it'll actually end up happening, but I do think somewhere deep in Amex's layers, they're just kind of over the points and rewards game. They would much rather have it just be a membership, a literal membership card. You're not even worrying about earning points and getting rid of that. It's my conspiracy theorist thought. Overall, I'm not going to react too much to this one. I think it's fine. You guys, if you're doing this, you know what you were doing. It's good while it lasts. Hopefully you can get in, get out, you made something, and just move on to the next credit card system. So let me know if you're a Floozy, not your sister, just, if you use the app or not. Or maybe your sister. I don't know what she's doing after this. Anyways, we didn't have enough inflammatory comments last weekend. We definitely do now. So, all right, we'll leave it there. Go ahead, drop me a thumbs up down below if you found it interesting. Consider subscribing. Why don't you? Normally, we're nicer to this and people's sisters. But, of course, we are posting content just like this every single week. Of course, we're right back every Sunday with all the news you can use in the week that was in credit and finance. And, of course, every single day over on profitablecontent.com, which is the channel's blogs. Always linked down below for you. And on the channel homepage where, of course, as we said, we have the news, we have credit cards, cards, and we have bank promotions, everything you need, including some from Amex. So if you want to try to get back in, we've got you covered over there as well. Anyways, guys, that'll do it for this one. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you very soon this week.